question. You agree with me?
Maybe
you're making assumptions.
Sure.
I'm not making assumptions.
Sure.
I even asked you, is Adam a sinner? You said Adam is a sinner, according to you. Was Jesus, was he related to
Oh,
Adam?
he's asking it again. Okay, that's fine. I'll give you the same answer again. Very simply. In the person of Jesus Christ, you have the human nature and the divine nature. That is why Jesus Christ calls himself both the Son of God and the Son of Man. Human, divine, easy. So because of the divine nature, you're lying because you read the Bible. Because of the divine nature is perfect, that would then mean that there's no way that the person of Christ can sin. Easy.
You're trying to tell me that baptism implies that you have to sin.
No, because the baptism was so all things to be fulfilled, so that Christ could receive the Holy Spirit and begin his ministry. Simple.
Have you read the previous verse? You haven't.
John was baptizing for the remission of sins.
Don't lie.
Right?
Jesus.
And then Jesus Christ came and was baptized by John. Easy.
In the Bible.
John was offering baptism for the remission of sin. He wouldn't know because he ain't read it.
Oh, do you see what he said?
According to Jesus, he was a sinner.
Why was Jesus
That's not what I
baptized?
said. I said the remission of sin. I didn't say original. Remission. Pay attention, my dude. Remission.
Hang on. So Jesus needs to be remitted for sin.
No, Jesus Christ needed to be baptized so all things could be fulfilled and he could receive a spirit. So essentially, this is how the Muslims do, right? They repeat the same things over and over again, right? And essentially, they try to imagine that they're doing something actually relevant.
Jesus was sinless according to you, right?
Yes, and according to you as well. Also believe that he was a pure boy, and where you get that from, you get it from taking it from the Bible. What does pure mean? Purity. In the same way that you believe in Mariology, you believe that Mary was sinless and Jesus Christ was sinless.
Humans can make mistakes.
We have something called sins of omission and sins of commission, and Jesus Christ did neither. Easy.
Every conversation, I do apologize because
I apologize that he twisted scripture, but this is what he does.
The only reason why you think that Jesus sinned is because that's what other people get baptized for.
He's going against the Quran.
So why was John the Baptist? Why did he baptize?
Quran is no contradiction, but the Bible is contradiction.
The Quran is full of them.
And according to the
The Quran is full of
Bible,
them.
and according to the Bible, Jesus is a sinner.
No, according to the Quran, Allah is just our Father.
What about the racism?
Huh?
What about the racism?
Or racism.
I'll agree with
Is
you.
that a sin?
Or
Does that
racism.
negate the
Yeah,
fact
but
that
a
he was
woman, we call
baptized
her
for
dog.
forgiveness of sin?
That was an analogy, that wasn't
Oh,
racism.
no, you call it
Simple.
dog. That's not he's a sinner.
Case closed.
When you get baptized,
Case
you're
closed.
not getting baptized for every single reason. Not everything applies to you.
If he was sinless, you see, I'm very charitable to you.
If he wants a sinner, look no further than Muhammad. In the Quran, he had to get his past sins, present, and future forgiven. So effectively, he would commit sins all throughout his life, but he was forgiven. So Muhammad is a sinner, but Jesus Christ is not. In the Quran and in the Bible.
According to the Bible, he was a sinner. You know the racism. Jesus, he called a woman dog.
Do you believe that Jesus?
According to the Quran, Allah is just his dad.
No, he never said.
First of all, you have a problem. Let's say
Surah 19:17. Go read it.
I agree with you for the sake of argument that baptism meant here that Jesus took away our sins. Okay?
No, that's not what it means. That's not what it.
Sacrifice his life.
This,
right?
what's this guy doing? Baptism was for the remission of sins. Repeat that, please. Go ahead. Repeat that. Okay, great. All right, step one down. Now, Jesus Christ was baptized so that he received the Holy Spirit. Christ is without sin.
Oh, God.
Done.
No.
Both in the Quran and in the Bible. Easy. Easy. I did not.
Say it again.
Easy.
Say it again.
John was committing baptism for the remission of sins. Christ came to be baptized to receive the Holy Spirit. Done. Easy. So that he could begin his ministry.
In other words, implicitly he's saying that Jesus was baptized for the remission of
It's
sin.
impossible for Christ to sin.
He's
That's
not
all.
saying explicitly, he's saying implicitly. No, he's very sneaky. I know him. He's very, very clever with his words. Listen, I want you to listen very carefully. Say again. I'm not going to put my. Say again. He knows. He knows.
So,
Say again.
for the third and hopefully final time,
Listen very carefully.
the Gospel says that John was offering baptism for the remission of sins.
Yes.
And then Christ came to him and was baptized and received the Spirit and began his ministry.
So in other words,
If you say that Christ sinned, that means Christ is not God, because God is incapable of sin. So because Christ is God, Christ cannot sin. Easy.
did you hear what you just said?
You know, I'll say it again to you later. But literally, go read Mark and you see it.
Did you go to Marble Arch? And I said, well, I went to Oxford Circus, and then I stopped at two stops on Central Line. He's implicitly telling you he stopped at Marble Arch Station. He's been very, very clever with you. He said
Christ can sin. Done. In the Quran and the Bible.
He understands. Look at his face. He knows what he's talking about.
Look at me.
Right?
I do know what I'm talking about.
He said exactly the same way. John the Baptist came for the remission of sin. Christ was baptized so that the Holy Spirit...
Notice I did not say
he said
that Christ was baptized
Right?
so that he was forgiven.
Exactly.
There you go.
No, he didn't
Don't
say-
worry.
no, you're very-
He understands, but he won't listen.
You know
Very
what?
sneaky.
Another thing.
Very sneaky.
Jesus, according to him, Jesus is a God. How can you baptize a God?
No, he's not a God. He is
Not
God.
God, isn't it?
Very, very...
Contradiction.
In the incarnation, in the same way that Allah has a face and hands and feet, and at the end of time He will reveal His shin and His foot. How can God have a shin, a face, a foot? There you go.
For example,
He
you are
got
a
the point. He
sinless.
got the point.
Huh?
He got
Do
the
you
point.
need any?
Christ can't sin.
No.
In the Quran or in the
Do you
Bible?
know John?
Wait, let me...
Do you know John?
John, who's that?
He, you know,
John.
Yeah.
Siam.
He baptized Jesus in it for the sin.
Nope.
No,
Yes.
Incorrect.
Okay.
The Bible don't say
come on,
that.
that's like-
So you're incorrect. You haven't read it. That's why.
do you understand?
If you read though, you
When he
understand.
was circumcised,
Yes.
what happened?
What do you
No, he
mean?
didn't say that. What do you mean? He didn't say that.
He was a
He
Jew.
didn't say that.
Can you
Don't
circumcise a
worry. He
God?
doesn't listen. Don't worry. He
No,
doesn't
say
listen.
that.
I made the
I
point
know.
earlier. You
Yeah.
go to a bus, you can socialize. Some socialize and to get home. I'm going to a bus to get home. I'm not.
For the sake of argument.
I don't need to socialize.
I'm not just telling you.
That means you agree with me.
No, I'm saying.
Oh, this poor boy.
I'm saying there's
My
another.
dude, how old are you?
I'm saying there's another reason, according to Mark's gospel, why Jesus was baptized.
Well, you're wrong.
Everyone goes to a bus to
No,
socialize.
that's a good point. That's a good point.
So,
That's a good
my
point.
dude,
clear in
my
Mark's
dude,
gospel.
basically, I would say, right, don't give too much of your all to this guy. He knows what he's talking
know,
about.
he
So he hears
always-
it the first
if he
time.
will, he
So
fell.
just
He fell.
say it and move on.
Can
That's
we
what I
agree
say.
to disagree on this and go back to preservation?
No. We're gonna stick.
Ooh,
to
preservation.
No, my
Oh,
point is
I'm
this.
good at that one too.
No. I'll stick to this. Because
When was it?
He's
when
growing
was it,
up, man.
corrupted?
Come on,
Because
he's
before-
No.
before Jesus,
He's been very.
Jesus
You know
would
what he's
say,
doing to you?
it's corrupted.
You know-
We're gonna preserve it from
So
here on.
there's a
he's
concept that they have
You
in
don't know
Islam.
him. You don't know him.
Anyway,
you don't know him. We've been around.
So's the Quran.
You know, how come now?
So's the Quran. Easy. You guys are missing two surahs.
I can show
Easy.
you many in the Bible.
You're missing two
Just
surahs.
now.
There you go.
Open your Bible. Have you got the
How do
Bible?
we
Open your Quran. Let's do it too.
Yeah, I cannot be.
All right. Go to Surah 50:16,
Yes.
and then go to Surah 33:6.
Okay, come here.
And tell me who's nearer to you. Is it Allah or Muhammad? Don't worry, multitask. Multitask, go. Multitask, go.
I'm asking you first of all.
Sorry?
He can't defend his
He's been very clever.
I can
And he
easily.
ran away to the Quran.
No. You listen to me. No. I'm asking you.
13 years
Let's-
old.
wait,
It doesn't matter. It
No.
doesn't matter.
Word by word.
It doesn't matter.
Word by
It
word.
doesn't matter.
13 years old.
Doesn't matter.
No. You didn't get my point.
Doesn't mean anything.
You get my point.
You know
You
what
can
happened?
agree to
They
disagree.
can't
No problem.
defend the
I'm
Bible.
not going to debate something
I'm
that
saying,
they don't feel.
I'm saying for the sake of argument, I agree with you. For the sake of argument, that's another function. What's another function of baptism in Mark's gospel?
Well, again, if you're going to agree with me, then
You're not answering my question. I agree with you. For the sake of argument, there's another function.
I mean, it depends. So
trying to
basically,
go back to original.
when you talk with him, right? It depends. You can do one of two things. You can try and play his game
don't listen to
and
anybody.
let him
I'm not
lead
playing
you,
any games.
or you can stand firm. You've answered the question. Now go back to the original topic. Yeah, just do it and he'll pivot. He can't hold
Showing
it.
me that the Jews
There you go.
and the Christians have different Old Testaments.
Okay, fine.
You can't.
Torahs.
That's why a
First
lot
of
of
all,
people they ran away to Christianity.
Sorry?
Before we
That's
talk
why
about,
a lot
calm
of
down,
people,
calm down.
people they ran away to Christianity.
This
They
discussion-
can't
See, you
defend the Bible.
see that? Because you've stood firm, now it's time to calm down. Hey, Rohan,
I'm out of here. Show me.
get your boy over here.
Fine.
You make it
Do you want to talk about the preservation of the
Show
Torah?
me that we have different Old Testament Torahs.
You have the Masoretic text. You have the Septuagint text. Which text?
They're all the same.
No?
Get out of here.
They're not saying.
The Septuagint.
How are they different?
Okay. They're different.
I don't know this as well, that's why I'm relying on them.
So why
No, you don't know nothing, man. I'm telling you.
Because every Jew I've spoken to has told me it's exactly
We have the same Old Testament, man. Get out of here. They are the ones who don't. Which is why they make up stories.
every single Jew.
I highly
Mate,
recommend.
I go to my Jewish friend because she's an expert in the Torah.
They're the same.
I'll ask the question.
Yeah, I highly
Christians
recommend.
know the New Testament.
The Hebrew Bible and the New
I highly
Testament are the same
recommend
thing.
you. I highly recommend you. You look
Show
in,
me right
I
now.
highly recommend you. You go into the Masoretic text. You look in the Septuagint text. They're completely different.
That's not true.
Give your phone number.
That's not true.
You have a phone.
That is not true. See, he comes with a claim. Hey, look it up. Hey, look it up.
By the way,
See?
Every single Jew.
By the way, what's your earliest complete manuscript of the Old Testament?
What's your earliest complete Quran?
New Testament, right?
No, not New Testament. You spoke
No,
about Torah.
we have fragments. And even those fragments contradict the Quran.
I don't care about. Oh my goodness.
Then the Quran's been wrong since the first century. Easy, easy.
No,
it's not different.
The Quran's been wrong for a while.
Mate, I'm saying you guys argue that because you're trying to say that the Bible's incorrupt to make
It's not us. It's your own scholars.
Lies,
Scholars.
lies. Your Quranic scholars tell you that there have been multiple Qurans. There isn't one Quran. There's a whole tradition of
When was the
Qurans.
first
At
name
least
of
35.
Moses mentioned?
I don't know.
1400 years after Moses.
That's a lie.
What do you mean that's a lie? Show me.
What do you mean like?
You see?
No,
You
no,
see?
no. He said it's a
That's a
lie.
lie. Okay.
Come on, prove
so,
it.
The Old Testament.
very simply. So he's telling you.
Why is he sorry after 1400 years?
No, basically,
After 1400 years, yeah.
so
So
it's
ask any
it's a Muslim argument, right? So basically,
The earliest
Muslims
manuscript
are
of the Old
completely
Testament
devoid
was
of
1400
history,
years.
right? So essentially, they have no idea
listen
from
this
the
guy.
Quranic
He don't know this
text
guy.
when Moses was even born. They would have no way of even solving it, right? So what they have to do is essentially rely on
you can't
Jewish
defend the
texts.
Bible, that's
So
why.
Moses is born roughly in the 14th century BC. Okay. Now he just said that for 1400 years you
have
don't have the
any
mention
first
of
century
Moses' name.
No.
That would imply that from the 14th century BC up until 0 of the Common Era,
I said
nobody
complete.
ever wrote Moses' name.
complete.
That's a lie. We
a lie.
have the
It's not a lie.
Septuagint
Come
written
on.
in 300 BC. And all
Your
of those
scholars say
texts
it's not a lie,
come
man.
from
Come on.
texts that
Do you
were
know how
written
they-
down
you know-
much earlier. Okay? Now, because of this, in the Quran, when it talks about Moses, it just tells fairy tales. Okay? It's Musa, it's not as version.
look at
So,
that.
one example, for example,
And he
is
don't know nothing
that
about
when
the Quran.
Musa meets Allah in the burning bush, right? In that moment, his staff turned into a snake. But we know full well that's not what it happened. It happened in the court of Pharaoh. And they have no way of telling you. So that is why, if you ask him, when was Moses born? Ask him that. He can't tell you. Ask him by the Quran.
You are
How can
growing
you tell,
up.
how can you
Don't
tell
listen to
that
him.
Moses
Come on.
came for Abraham in the Quran? You can't tell.
I'll give you one
Because it gives no
last
context.
chance. Come on.
He's a happy lover. Come
There
on.
you go.
Show me that the Jewish people and we have different Torahs. Show me that right
You
now.
have the Samaritan Torah.
Show me right now.
The Samaritan Torah
You
is...
have to find yourself.
This is just like, this is just the cheap
run
way.
away.
Rayhan,
Do you want to run away?
you are bad at this, Rayhan. You're bad at this. Very simple.
Come on, stand here.
It's more
Stand
convincing
here.
if you
can't
ask
do
a
that.
question and have it answered. More convincing.
No.
Hey, no, wait, Madhu, I know you. We spoke nicely last time. I know you. But we're good. We're good. I mean, you can say it is, but he wants to joust. He wants to joust. Let's joust.
Keep recording.
Let's joust. Please, go. Go, Rayhan. Rayhan, don't go silent now because of me. Come on, Rayhan. You're the champion of Dawah. Give me that Dawah. Come on, Rayhan. Tell me why the book of Mark is supposedly corrupt. Tell me why. Okay. So, Dawah channels. Your champion here, my friend Rowan, cannot defend his God. Sorry, R-A-I, correct? Rayhan, correct?
Yes.
Okay. That girls. Your champion here, Rayhan, can't defend his Quran.
I'm the champion.
So when it was the guy
Let him
before,
fool himself.
he was happy to talk to him. But now that it's me, somebody who can call him out in his nonsense, he won't speak. See it for yourselves.
You see, a lion.
Oh, now he's speaking. Great.
A lion doesn't need to roar at dog. All right, take care of yourself.
You are the fattest. Sorry. All right, Rayhan, I love you. Okay, Rayhan, I love you. All right, I love you with the love of Jesus Christ. You are fearfully and wonderfully made. You are made in the image of God. You have value as a man. You should have bad theology. I beseech you, come to Christ. Embrace Al-Haq, the true Al-Haq, the way, the truth, and the life. Isa, alayhi salam, whatever it is.
Nice.
All right. Now, boys and girls, see you later, man. All right, people. We have Rayhan, a Dawah lion, a very chubby lion, but a lion nonetheless. He is supposedly telling lies again about the Gospel of Mark. So a Christian friend of mine was here, and he was telling him that the reason that Christ was baptized was for the remission of sins, implying that the Bible talks about Christ being sinful. I told him multiple times in the Quran and in the Bible, it talks about Isa or Jesus Christ being sinless. The sinner is Muhammad, the one who required his sins to be forgiven, not Jesus Christ. Christ was baptized to receive the Holy Spirit, plain and simple. And then I challenged him after my friend left, talk to me, bring your problems to me, let me hear them. He couldn't. He was silent. All he could say was that a lion does not roar at a dog. So I am a dog and he's a lion. I wish he would roar at me, but unfortunately he wouldn't do it. Simple.
So I decided to have a look at what the gentleman said about the Masoretic texts, and it said that it is a basis of the Protestant translations. Translations are not the original Hebrew, but they are the English translations, such as the King James, English Standard Version. So again, he mentioned that there were differences between the Jews, what they believe in, what we believe in. It's exactly the same. Cool.